Welcome to Storytime with Stephanie, a platform for independent authors to share their stories of transformation, self-help, education, and sometimes pure entertainment. Want to grow with us on this journey and support these up and coming authors? Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. I'm your host, Stephanie Outen, the literary doula. Are you ready for the show? Let's do this. Hello. Welcome to Storytime with Stephanie, and I am so excited to be here. I'm your host, Stephanie Outen, and we have another amazing, dynamic author to share with you all tonight. So I'm going to quickly read her bio, and we will bring her on stage. My first memories of reading romance date back to when I was very young. Sneaking peeks at the Western love stories my grandmother kept on her bedside table. Although I didn't understand half of the words at the time, something about those books captured my imagination. As I grew older, my love for romance expanded into other genres, fostering a deep appreciation for anything related to reading, such as libraries, bookstores, and the cozy coffee shop around the corner. Never did I imagine I would one day write romance novels myself, yet here I am, the author of several and passionate about creating even more. My love for travel has taken me to many cities, including New Orleans, Washington, D.C., and Houston, each place providing inspiration for my stories. When I'm not immersed in my latest characters or managing my business, I cherish spending time with family and friends, finding joy in the simple daily moments we share. Everyone, let's welcome Tiye to the show. Hello. Hey, Tiye.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good. It is Monday, and for some reason I have energy. Don't ask me why.
Hey, that's a good thing. When we can have
Yes.
energy on a Monday, that's a
Yes.
blessing.
Yes. My sister was like, "Are you in a good mood? You just dancing around?" I'm like, "Yes." I accidentally heard, not accidentally, "Fine China" by Chris Brown, and all of a sudden I just started dancing. It made my whole day. So
Yeah, you're like, hey, my whole mood has changed. That's a good thing.
yes, yes.
Music can do that. Music definitely can touch your soul and lift you into a whole new place.
Oh, yes, it can for sure.
Well, we are so excited to have you on the show, and we thank you because we know that you are super busy. You have, well, I like to say super productive because sometimes busy just means you got a whole lot of nothing going on, but
True.
being productive means you are actively working to make
Ooh,
your dreams come true.
that's a good
So
way to put it. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that.
use it.
Because I'm always like, I'm busy, but I really am like doing something productive. But yes, that helps.
Yes. So tell us, Tiye. First of all, I'll share this. I was introduced to your book through Kennedy Ryan, who is well, now you are included in this, but one of my
Oh,
favorite romance writers,
oh,
right? And
yes,
somehow I saw something where she had talked about your book, Riffs and Refrains. So I was like, oh, I got to jump on this. You know, if Kennedy Ryan said it's good, it must be good.
yeah.
And let me tell you something. My Audible was burning up because I was like, this story right here is amazing.
Thank
And
you, thank
I
you.
fell in love with Riffs and Refrains. I was telling everyone about it, and I fell in love with Jake and Amara. And so I
Yes,
want to hear from you about Riffs and Refrains, and then we'll talk a little bit about your author journey and kind of how you got to the place where you are today.
okay, okay.
All right.
Uh, I'm ready.
So, all right. Okay. So how did Riffs and Refrains come about? Because I've actually never read a book or listened to a book that was really about Black country. And
Yeah,
that was exciting for me because I really wanted to experience something new. So I saw in your bio where you said your grandmother
yeah,
kept Western love stories at her
yeah.
bedside. So is that where the passion for this came from?
You know what? I would say the passion for romance definitely came from reading those Western romances.
Okay.
Even though she didn't know you know, I didn't know that I was reading them. But yeah, just the love of reading, writing came from that. Growing up in the South, um, and listen to country music growing up, and it literally was Cowboy Carter that inspired me. I'll just say that when it dropped and released, and it just reminded me that as a child, I love country music, but as you grew older, it was like, can't because my father used to listen to country music, and he
Okay.
started, yeah, and he used to teach because he was a physical education teacher, teach it, and he started getting like threatening calls for teaching his students this, and so it kind of put a shroud over our family in terms of we just didn't listen to country music anymore, and
Mm.
so we always in R&B as well, so we
Hmm.
just focused on that. That became the norm as opposed to Oak Ridge Boys and different things we used to listen to. It became all about the R&B, and when she released Cowboy Carter, was talking to one of Keisha Minifield, who helped write the poetry on it. We just had a conversation, and we were like, "What about a story about a country, yeah, country story?"
Yeah.
And I wrote the first 5 chapters. I gave myself a challenge. I said, "I'm gonna see if I can do this." I literally was going to, and it was like, um, go look. I was in Vegas to see New Edition, and I was like, "I'm gonna see if I can challenge myself to do 5 chapters while I'm having fun with friends."
Wow.
And I did the 5 chapters. I sent it to her because she was my manager at the time, so she was
Okay.
like, "Let's see what we can do with this." And she was like, "This is good. Like, you think you can finish this story?" I was like, "Sure, I'll work on it." Didn't
Mm.
think anything about it, but those
Wow.
first 5 chapters got me a deal with um, got me a deal with Dreamscape, who wanted to do an audiobook first because it was about country music. They were like,
Right.
"What, let's do an audiobook first on this." And if something new, they didn't do that. They had other authors, but African American authors, they hadn't
Mhm.
yet did that with our books. So
Mm.
I was like, "That sounds good." And then at the same time, even though it was hush hush at the time, and she called me back. She was like, "Universal is looking at it." I was like, "What? Are you the
Wow.
first 5 chapters? Hadn't even finished the book. Like, first, it's just 5 chapters." And she was
Wow.
like, "They're interested." And Kennedy Ryan, who already had a deal,
Mhm.
Universal, had heard about it and got a look at it and was like helping push it, basically.
Wow.
They're like, "But we need you to finish this book. Like, can you finish in like 5, 6 weeks?" I'm like, "What?" Because I'm not a full-time writer. So I'm like,
Oh, I thought you
yeah,
were.
no, I'm not. So,
Mhm.
so in the midst of doing my everyday job
Mhm.
and my daughter's graduate from high school, I was writing this book. Like, I've never written a book so fast in my life.
Oh
And
my God.
went to Nashville to get to soak in the vibes. Was in Nashville for a day. Never been to Nashville. So when you read about her, Amari hitting Nashville, that's me saying when you
Oh,
first walk in the airport, when you uh
wow.
going to the Grand Ole Opry hotel, just all these things. You know, I was like, I wanted to feel real. So added all of those elements in
Wow.
and was hoping people would like it. So yeah, I did the best fastest book I ever done because it came up to almost 100,000 words. So
Oh,
to
wow.
write that much, and when it wasn't my again, I was working, doing so much other stuff. I was working on
Mhm.
actually 2 other books at the time, as well as working. It was a lot on my plate. But given that they were so excited about it, I didn't want to. Uh,
Yeah. You didn't want to disappoint.
no, I didn't. I didn't. So
Well, that's how I know that you're a gifted writer because for you to be able to write such a
yeah.
powerful love story,
Oh,
romance, I mean,
mhm.
like I felt immersed in
That's
country.
true. Yes.
Yeah, I was immersed and I've been to Nashville. So as I was reading some of the things, I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. So it allowed me to even have flashbacks of when I went to Nashville,
Right.
but to really understand country from a different perspective, country from the lens of African American people, right? And here's this character, Amara, whose grandfather was known as the infamous Stony Johnson,
Yeah.
right? And we don't often hear about us as African
Mhm.
Americans, in this particular genre. And so what you were able to do was to bring a light to something that is prevalent but
Mhm.
hidden,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
not given the level of and honestly, now we're seeing a lot of African Americans in country and it's being exposed more.
Yes.
but you were able to take it from such a different perspective and allow us to feel this young woman, Amara's love and passion for this music that often gets overlooked by African American people. And so, just hearing how it was something that you were passionate about as a child, your family was passionate about, it definitely shows in this book.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I spend time with the father aspect, because my father was directly impacted
Yes.
um, by that situation. I dedicated a book to him, which you can't see,
Right.
you can't see on an audiobook, but
Mhm.
when the published book comes out, ebook comes out, you'll see that he is dedicated to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ooh, I'm so glad you said that because I love, I mean, I've been a reader since I was like a child, so probably 5 years old. And I used to collect books. And of course, like Harlequin romance was like the
Yes.
first
Yep.
introduction to
Yep.
romance, right?
Yep.
So I love to turn pages. And so to hear that riffs and refrains will be in, oh, girl, you make my heart jump.
Yes.
I cannot wait. I'll be one of the first people to buy it when it is out there because I love this book so
Yes.
much. And I love to keep books as keepsake, but I don't have
Yes.
to buy it from you directly so I can get an autograph copy.
Most definitely. I have to send you a copy. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We still haven't figured out the date yet, because we're actually talking about it. We're supposed to talk about it in the beginning of November, because it's still a debate whether or not it will come out in time for the holidays, or will we
Okay.
wait till the new year. Because again, we want to add an epilogue. So, and I haven't written it yet. So they're like,
Okay.
we want to release it with the epilogue for people who have already heard it and they want to,
Mm-hmm.
see something new. And I was like, okay, I'm getting to it. Or a
Yes.
bonus, I'm not saying bonus or a bonus novella to it, so that
Mm.
um,
Yes.
some other characters that were in it. So it wouldn't be if it's a novella, it would be some new characters, but of course you would still hear what's happening with Amara and
And
Jake.
Jake. Oh,
Yeah,
I love
the
that.
epilogue would be, of course, what's happening with those two.
Yeah, and the great thing about this story is that I love that it was complete. Like it was complete. I felt like you gave everything closure.
Yeah,
I still was like, oh, I wish there was another book because I would love to see their love story grow
yeah,
and
yeah,
continue, right?
yeah.
And as soon as you said like novella and characters, I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, but she was one of she befriended Amara,
Sophie?
Sophie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep, yeah,
she has a story to tell.
yep. I don't know if I would look. I'm like, am I supposed to say something? I don't know. So if I'm not, I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry, but yeah, that's the character we're thinking about
Oh,
in terms of the novella. Yeah.
see, I
Again,
use
I
my writer
was
mind.
looking around like, oh, well, okay,
That's
I
my
get
writer
you.
mind because I write too, and
Yes.
I was like,
Oh
I could
yeah.
see, yeah, I was like, I could
Yeah.
see Sophie having her own story because,
Yes.
yeah, there
Yeah.
were some things that were kind of shared that made me feel like her character needed to be expanded. So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing that and reading it and hearing it, and
Yeah.
yes, so I'm excited.
Yes. Because that's the
Okay.
plus too, is that hopefully, um, I don't know about the epilogue, but if I do the novella, it will be also available in audio as the talk, so that for those who like hearing audio, will already
Yes.
hear that. But it'll also be in print at the same time, so that
Okay.
basically when it comes back out again, you can get it always.
Excellent.
So that is the goal. And
I
so,
love
because I haven't written it yet, that's why we don't have a date. They're like, we can't do a date till you write it. I'm like, okay.
that's okay. Hopefully, this
Yeah.
conversation will give you
No,
some
it definitely is.
inspiration.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely start working on it. This the end of this year. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Very good. All right. So what I was gonna ask you, oh, did you get a chance to select the voice actors for the book?
yes. I did, and I chose. Kane had already done maybe 3 books from me before, right before, like literally my first audiobooks came out as I was debating who to use, and I love the way she could change her voice, and how good she is. So I already knew I wanted her. I was like, she could do
Yes.
it, please, because her name wasn't
I
on the
love
list.
her voice.
The list they gave me didn't include her name, so I was like, is it possible? Can y'all
Mhm.
check with her? And she hadn't responded, so I reached out to her I messaged her because she hadn't responded to the company. I was like, look, I really love your voice. You gotta do this for me. And then she, messaged me back saying, well, yes, I'd love to. And then it all worked itself out. And Benjamin Charles, they gave me, several different men voices, but when I heard, I said, "Oh no, it's Jade.
Yeah.
That's Jade.
Yeah.
That's Jade's
They
voice."
definitely, the two of them, their voices were
Yeah,
perfect for those
yes,
characters, and they really made the story like come to life. Like I
yes.
could tell if I was just reading it, like
Hmm.
I could still hear their voices as the
Yes,
characters,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so you did a perfect job in choosing them
Thank you, thank
to
you.
act out
Yes.
this book.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there like listening to my own story. Like it don't feel like it's me. I'm just like, oh, this is good. I'm like, this is really good. It's like, did you know you wrote that, right? I'm like, oh, I did.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
I love that. I love that. And so when it came to thinking about, bringing this story together, because you had written 5 chapters,
yes,
did you write like the first 5 chapters
it
or
was the
did you
first
just kind
five.
of write? It was the first
It
five.
was the first five. And normally I don't write like that. I write out of order. It's like whatever
Right.
inspires me, I start to write. But
Yes.
because I was challenging myself, because it's like, okay, this is a project. I want to see if I can do this.
Hmm.
Um, it was like, let me just see. Because at the time my manager was like, you know, you think you can write a story like that? I was like, yeah, I could do this. And so I was like, just give me the weekend. I didn't tell her I was in Vegas because she would have told me, you're not gonna be able to do that. So I just told her I was at home, but I was in Vegas at New Edition concert. And in between breaks with my friends, I'm like, look, I gotta do this real quick.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
think being around them, the music, the everything, uh,
Yeah.
the first 5 chapters flowed out of me. And I changed from what I first said because it wasn't even gonna start at the funeral. And so
Mm.
we were gonna have it was actually gonna start with Stoney being alive and then dying. And I was like, no, I'm gonna start it off, he's already gone. And we'll take it
Mm.
from there. And they loved it like that. So
Hmm.
we kept it because that was a thought. I was like, y'all want Stoney to be, when I was talking to the publishers, do you want Stoney to be, they were like, we can just have the memory of him throughout.
Yeah. I
So
actually love it that way because it gives the level of intrigue as you learn more about
mhm,
him. So you
mhm,
never got to really connect with him because he wasn't alive, but you
exactly.
connect with him because of the stories that's told through the letters that are written. And for those of you who have not yet listened to Riffs and Refrains, I'm telling you, you gotta jump on Audible. Okay.
Yes.
You better listen to this story because it's so well crafted
Thank you.
and it is a true and complete story. Like I can't even describe it. It's so true and complete. The way that you were able to take this young woman, Amara, who didn't even really get to grow up with her grandfather,
You didn't.
yet she was so much of him.
Hmm.
And she was able to live out a dream that he wasn't able to live out
Yes.
because he kind of went into almost like a recluse.
He
There
did.
was,
He did. He did.
yeah,
He
there were
did.
things about his life where he kind of just shut down and he disappeared.
Yeah.
And we come to find out later on in the story why.
Hmm.
There's a lot of plot twists. There's a lot of kind of guessing of what happened.
Actually happened to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what actually happened to him. But wow, what you created was so,
Okay.
I loved it. I loved
Yes,
it.
no, I'm so grateful for that because that's one of like when I was writing it and I was like, I hope um people get out of it readers get out of it what I want, which is about legacy, which is about
Yes.
never been afraid to live your dreams no matter how old. Because I know we get caught up in age and like I'm too old to do this or to live this dream. So I am thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. You're just confirmation um on why I sacrificed those
Yes.
of sleepless nights, of nights of sleep. I was like, look, this. I was like, I want. It was a labor of love, and the fact that I just couldn't believe the response with just the first 5 chapters. That
Yeah.
it changed. The first 5 chapters have changed. The first chapter is exactly the same, but
Okay.
I added a couple more chapters in between the first.
Mhm.
There's a more, so it's a little bit more, and I added some poetry stuff like that. But
Right.
the essence of the first 5 chapters is there. It's still
Okay. Okay.
there. Yeah.
So thinking about because you have written a lot of books. You have a
No,
lot of
I
books.
do have a lot of books. Like you were like, you have a lot of books. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have
I
and
do.
all of your books, did you start out um as being traditionally published, or you started out as a self-published author?
I'm self-published. Literally this makes 5 years. This is my 5th year as an indie author. I've been writing forever. I started off as journalism major in
Okay.
college, and then I switched to psychology, and that's where I am. But in terms of still writing, I've always written, and in about 2016, I think I started writing on Wattpad for fun. It's free, and I wrote, and I started getting a fan base, and they're like, "You should really independently publish this." And I'm like, "No, it's cool. I don't mind just doing this for free." And I literally was writing the same length of books for free. Had
wow.
I didn't care. Like, it was my hobby, it was my relaxation,
Yeah.
and then one of my readers kept saying, you really should. And I sent it to an editor, and she connected me to Delaney Diamond, who's an indie romance, traditional and indie romance author. And she was like, "You really should publish." And she kind of guided me through how to be an indie author. And Drift and Refrains is actually my first traditional, and it was, of course, audio. And um and I'm working on another one now, but just I still consider myself more indie than anything else
Okay.
in terms of, and there's pros and cons to everything. I'll say
Yes.
that. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
Because indie is like, you just write you however you want to write it, and nobody says anything. There you go. Traditionally, it's like I had to be very careful with the refrains because of the cheating element. I had to be very careful because people were like, even with this book, and you read it, and they were still like, people like, I hated that they had, cheating in it. And I'm all like, okay, it was little. It was a little.
It was very minor. I mean, come on now.
Yes, but I literally had criticism for it, and I was like, and when I write indie, I straight up, I do write some cheating books in my indie without any reservations about it. But as I was writing this, I was like, okay, I have to be, careful, and it's still my voice. I will say I didn't. When I sent to editing, they didn't really change much. They kept it.
Okay, that's good.
It was more like, grammar stuff here, make this more emotional, stuff like that. But the actual concept, none of that changed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and they said that to me too. They said, somebody still might complain about the cheat. They still might, and they did. They were like, they didn't tell me to change anything, but they were like, they still might. And I'm like, seriously, really?
And here's the thing, like, books, fiction is fake, right? But there's always some element of truth, and we have to look at the world that we live in. Unfortunately, people cheat.
Exactly.
I mean, it happens.
Exactly. Right? And that's that's the stance. Yeah, it happens.
It happens. And how you respond to it is, what really changes the dynamics of the situation, right? And so how you were able to weave that in the different ways in which we saw that happen, it was delicate. It was delicate, right?
Yes. But then people were like, I don't know why you didn't have her cheat earlier. Everybody was some people like, you had them. That was a slow burn.
Because let me tell you, Philip.
Yes.
Yeah, he was just not my dude. I was like, I hate this kid. I hated him. And you probably remember when I had Miss Ronnie on the show, we were talking about, I couldn't even remember his name at that point because I'm like, he is irrelevant. Like, I just don't like him at all. And I was just like, I just want her and Jake together. Like, they got to figure this thing out. And so a lot of times people don't like to see like the woman be the one to initiate, right? And so when they see that, it's like, oh, how could that be? But it happens. And this story proved that the heart wanted what it wanted and what was actually best for it in the long run.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. He was definitely a better person for her, for sure.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Okay. For sure. Like, yes. Like, if she never met this man, her life would have been just complete. If she didn't meet him, it would, because he really sparked her. Yeah. He sparked her. That's all I can. Not only say entry, he just sparked her, period.
He did. And it's amazing because when you think about that in real life too, how one person could really literally change your whole life.
Yes.
And had she not met him at her grandfather's funeral, she would have just still, what was she, a school teacher, a
Yep.
music teacher, and her
Mhm.
life would have remained the same. But this one interaction, right? It's almost like you connecting with Kennedy Ryan. It
Yep.
changed the trajectory of some, things in your life. And so that one connection could be what literally changes the trajectory of your whole life. And
True.
I love to see that play out for her, because it was a source of encouragement and inspiration as a woman and as a Black woman, that
Mhm.
it really doesn't matter what your age is. If you have a dream, even if it's been so deeply embedded and no one has supported that dream, and then someone from the outside comes and sees something in you that sometimes you didn't even see in yourself, how that can literally put you on stages and in rooms you never thought you would be in.
That
And
you said that. What's well said, because that's definitely true. That is
that
that's
that is riffs and refrains right there.
that. Yeah,
So,
that is. It really is. It really is. It really
right?
is.
It's like, I'm thinking about this book in a whole new way.
Yes, it is. I'm still like, huh? It is. It really is. That's, I mean, and that's the beauty of books or writing. Everyone can come away with something different. Um,
Absolutely.
and like, that's what you came from it. Okay, that's different. Okay, or you
Yeah.
came. I love it. I love the characters, and I'm very glad that I created them. Very glad that um, there's been interest and a buzz around it, and then plus I'm gonna say possible. I'm saying possible TV series, because you just never know with Hollywood. But the fact that it was picked up, and I actually got a chance to meet Attica Locke, who's one of the people that I met her. She had a book talk. She has her own books, and
Mhm.
I'm behind the reach. I got all these books from her,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
she, I got a chance to meet her, and she didn't know I was gonna come, so I showed up, and I was like, I had the copy of her. I said, it's me, and she, we took pictures, and she was like, yeah, she's like, I've been trying, looking at it and trying to figure out the
Mhm.
script, and they want to
Yes.
expand, Jake's mom character, and I was just like, oh my god, that's so cool.
I love that.
Yes, but
Oh, because she's powerful.
yes,
And
yes.
we don't even really get a too
No,
much.
we
We just
don't.
get a glimpse of
You get a
her.
glimpse. So when she said that, that really made me like, what? Because she was like, we're going to make a TV series. Some things will be just like the book. Some things will change.
Ooh.
Um, and she was like, the essence of the book will stay the same, but because it's going to be a series, we're expanding a lot of the characters, so you'll get a
Yes.
little bit more. And that's why I have to be careful about what we write afterwards, because people say
Mm.
this is going to be like a series, because they right now own the rights to riff and refrains. We can't make it a series because they want control of how they make the characters.
Oh,
So I mean, they take Jake and Amara is how they will be, but in
okay.
terms of the side characters and expansion
Oh,
of those. So even with me writing in more, that's why it has to be short. That's why it's like you get a
mm.
little glimpse. They can decide to keep it or
Okay.
change it up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because somebody might read and be like, "That's not what happened in a novella," and they're like,
Yeah.
"No, they own riff and refrains," and we have to be careful about that world, because initially it was going to be a series, it's going to be like a trilogy,
Right. Okay.
but once they bought the first one, kind of backed off. It was like, well, we'll just let them decide the characters, as opposed to me creating this whole world, and then they decide to go somewhere else, and then I mean, not go somewhere else, but make it slightly different. People get
Yeah.
upset when it's so much different from the book. So it's like, if
Yeah.
we do one and let them have at it however they want to do it. It's
Yeah.
two Black women working on it, so feel very confident. And from Texas, so feel very confident they'll keep it. Because we
Yes.
were saying that because we were thinking about even who to sell it to. And that it has some interest from different people. Like it was. I mean, honestly, they were saying the people that were, some of the celebrities that were interested. It was just making me feel like that's crazy.
I
But,
love that.
and it was like, our concern was they have to keep them Black. We didn't want to sell to anybody. All of a sudden, we like, wait, who is these people? This is a Black
Right.
book. This is a Black romance. Now we got this
Right.
white woman who trying to be a country singer, and
Yes. And we want them to be Black. Like, we need them to be
yeah,
Black.
we need him to be Black. It's not. It's just regular. It's the TV show Nashville all over again if it's
Right.
white. So, um,
Yes.
So then it was like, well, when when we went with who we have, it was like, well, they did When They See Us on
Mm.
Netflix, and she used to be a showrunner of Empire, so it's kind of like
Yes.
I think they're gonna keep it black. It's like
They gonna keep it black. Yes.
black and woman centric, all of that good stuff. So I'm just excited to see what
Yeah.
happens, and hopefully we'll hear something within the new year, more
Good.
more information. But I'm enjoying just knowing that there's some people in Hollywood that read my stuff. It's
Yeah.
crazy,
Look,
crazy.
I love this for you.
Thank you.
Because when I listen to books or when I read
Mhm.
them, I always envision the movie or a
Yeah,
TV show. So I see it coming to life. And so to hear you say that it's being shopped out there for that, I love it because I'll be planted to
yes.
watch it, right?
Oh, and my
Um,
family drive me crazy with it. They're like, so what's happening now? What's happening now? I was like, my, daddy, it's not, it's, let's just take it one step. I
yes,
mean, Kennedy Ryan got the okay for Before I Let Go last year, and they still in the process of working things out. So
exactly.
I was like, it's a process. That's all I will
Yes.
say. The
Yes.
book was
What they say,
optional.
process
Like
in progress.
it is a process in progress. I always tell them, I'm gonna tell y'all first. Like, you keep asking me, like I'm gonna keep it a secret. I'm gonna tell you. I'm the first one to tell you, like this is what's happening. But anyway, it's
Well,
all
I
good.
love it for you. I love it for you. And so now you actually are working on another book, The Weddings.
Yes,
Well, not working on it. It's already out. The
it's
Wedding
out.
Season.
Yes,
Yes.
yay.
So let's talk about that. And The Wedding Season is actually a part of a series of
Yes,
books, right?
yes, yes. It
Okay.
is my Love for All Season series. It is, like I said, this is my fifth year writing. So I wanted to do, this year has been a lot of new things, trying new things, which is Riff and Refrains. It was a whole new thing for me.
Mhm.
And some audiobooks was also new. And going back to the very first book I wrote 5 years ago, which is Autumn Falls, which is
Mm.
a new adult romance that took place on Florida A&M campus. Just a shout out because I'm an alumni. I mean, it doesn't really take place on that campus, but he's a drum major for the band.
Okay.
And it was my first series that was really focused on family. Before that, I focused more on just the couple itself. But it's my
Okay.
first series where I dealt a lot with family issues. So this is about four sisters. They call it Season Sisters because it's the first book is Autumn Falls, The Winter Date, Spring Blossoms, and Summer Storm. Their names are, fall,
Yeah.
autumn. It's the
The
seasons.
winter,
It's
spring, summer,
very
fall.
centric.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, yeah.
And their birthdays fell in this, around the season, and that's how the mother named them. But it's their
Okay.
journey. The sisters are, it starts off. Sisters are 21 through 35, and by the time the series ends, of course, they're like 24 to 37, 38. So there's a gap. So something for everybody. So
Mhm.
if you like to read about younger people, you can,
Yes.
read the first two books. You want to read about a little older, you got the last two books of the older sisters.
I
And
love that.
so the wedding is the culmination of it. I've always wanted to go back to them. The last one I wrote was probably in 2021. And I wanted to go back and see the sisters again. I released a very brief novella, surprise novella, to kind of get people excited. I released it during the last holidays to get people excited that the
Mhm.
wedding season was on the way, and that's what's out now. So, and you don't have to read the whole series. You can actually. I tried to write in such a way that if, because some people don't have, there's so many books to read. It's hard to go
Yeah.
back and, because one reader reached out to me. She was like, I picked it up, and then she said, "Oh no, it's book 7." I don't know if I get back. I get it. I get it. There's so many choices in this world now. So,
Yes.
I was like, but you can actually read it just as is. Of course, if you
Good.
read the whole series, you are familiar with the characters and their
Right.
struggles, whatever. But
Yeah.
even if you decide to read it just on this one,
Yes.
I think you still enjoy the story.
Okay. Well, that's good to know because initially I was like, okay, wait. But I'm the type I do want to know the character's origin
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
So I'm gonna. So the first one is which one? Autumn.
Autumn Falls.
Autumn fall. Okay, I better write that down so I know for sure that that's where I
It
need to
kind of goes in
start.
order of the season. So it's autumn, winter, spring, summer.
Okay, perfect. So now I got it.
Yes.
And so here we are with the wedding season, and it's like all the sisters are getting married.
all of them were engaged at this point. And so this story, and I actually put out, there were four separate books. There's also a side book of a cousin that's like it's called a masquerade seduction. So it's a little, it's a part of the, but it's definitely separate from it. But he's their cousin, so you see him again too if you happen to read. But you don't. It's definitely not a part of the. It's like a sub book, if you will,
Oh, okay.
of that series. This is masquerade seduction takes place in New Orleans. It's one of those stories that touch me because I'm from New Orleans. But anyway,
I could hear
um,
it.
oh, you get, yeah. So when I say certain things, you might be like, oh yeah, she's from New Orleans. But the when we get to the wedding season, actually, it's four different characters. So basically, each chapter
Hmm.
is the sister. So
Yeah.
I put all four together.
Hmm.
So that's why I said you can actually, if it's four POVs, so you can actually just read the one book and see their struggles as a couple and see if all of them make it to the altar. So,
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. I started reading it, so I look forward to reading it in full.
yes.
Because it already seems so interesting. It's like, okay, which sister is actually going to make it? Because I'm starting to
We all
wonder.
got drama going on, so it's like
Yeah.
which one? And I did it with because I think a part of me I love romance like the next person, but I also try to put an element of reality in it, and sometimes
Yes,
people don't like that. And I do that in a sense just because you got together and you love each other doesn't mean you're supposed to get married.
that's
And
exactly right.
so that's a part of it. Like you're like, can I get to the altar? We might be
Yeah.
we love each other dearly.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just a lot of factors that goes into play before you
Yeah.
actually get to the altar.
And
So
I do love that from what I've read so far, like that the sisters kind of support each other and converse. Like, look, like how are you at this stage in your relationship? Because like I'm not at that
yeah,
stage, you know? And
yeah,
so to be able to have that family support is very helpful.
yeah,
Um, because in real life too, your family sees things about these people
yep,
in your life that sometimes you don't see. And so it's necessary to be able to have your family, as involved as they can be, but with,
yeah.
not necessarily
Everything. This is one
right.
thing I always tell people. Do not we as a whole, we tend to tell people the bad stuff about our relationships, and that's all people hear. So when you still with them, like, why are you still with them? And so
Exactly.
my advice is tell everybody good and the bad so that
That's
they can
right.
see both and or don't say anything because if you only want to call me when bad stuff is happening, all I'm gonna see is this picture of this guy or
That's
this
right.
woman
That's
as
right.
a negative and not I'm not gonna understand why you're with this person.
Yeah. So true.
Um,
So true.
yeah.
So at this stage
Yeah.
of your writing career, you say you're
Mhm.
5 years in, which I mean, honestly, I would have thought you've been writing for like 20 years because your gift is so profound. Like
Thank
you're
you.
you're a very skilled writer.
Thank you. Hey.
That's yeah, that's not easy to come by. That's a
Yeah,
gift. Like honestly, I
I
think,
get that.
there's people who are great writers, but it's because they've like learned it as a craft. But you could
Mhm.
tell that this is innate. You're a storyteller,
Thank
you
you.
know?
Thank you.
And so at this stage of your writing career,
Mhm.
what does inspire you to write? What helps you
That's
to
cool.
say this is a story that needs to be written?
That's a good question. It's the craziest thing because I'll be, because I've been writing a lot. Some of the things y'all don't see because I'm, writing and saying this isn't working, or I can say like I'm done. I'm like I don't feel like writing for the next. I
Mhm.
won't write again until February. And just kid you not, the other day I was walking down the street. I was like, what about? And I'm like, no, you just said you're not writing anything. Just stop for a second. But it was in my head. It can be the littlest thing that will inspire me to write. Sometimes it's characters I want to go back to, and then I'm like, does it
Mhm.
make financial sense to go back to this character? Because maybe only a few people interested in it.
Right.
And then there is, I got this story I've been working on for the longest time, and my agent, she keeps being like, "When are you gonna finish this story?" I'm like, "I don't know, but it has to get out there in the world." And
Yeah.
it is one of those. It's a deeper story, so it's taking me some time. It's dealing with a lot of stuff. It's not even the typical. It's a love triangle, but it's not the typical one. So
Mhm.
Um, it I, it honestly is what would make me just keep writing. Like if I start writing something and I struggle trying to finish it, then I'm like, is this the one I should be focused on right now?
Right.
Um, and when it flows out of me, I'm like, okay, this is the one.
Yeah.
I mean, that part I think I am at where some stories just, I give you an example. Earlier this year, I did a anthology on marijuana on
Hmm.
um, 420 day, which is if you do marijuana, it's marijuana holiday. And it
Okay.
was embers and smoke. And this is in the midst of me writing riff and refrains that I was like, I got to get this novella out. Like
Mhm.
literally, I got it out. I had to write it with, write it. I actually had a week to write it at the point that I finally got a chance to write it. And it
Mhm.
flew out of me so well that I want to do a continuation. This was a character that's supposed to be for an anthology. I'm not looking at it anymore. But when I started writing, I was like, oh my God, I want to see what happens with these people. So in 2025, 2026, I'm gonna write this. And and I'm like, this wasn't supposed to happen. This is not supposed to be happening in 2025 and 2026.
But
So
it's happening.
it's happening. At least I want it to happen. I don't know what everything else is happening right now. Will it? But it'll be out eventually. It'll be out eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think that is really good for aspiring writers and even existing writers to know
Yeah.
that sometimes you could be working on a story forever, and it doesn't mean that maybe you're not like just give the story up.
Oh
It
no.
just could be that that's not the story for that season, you know?
Yes.
And you
Yes.
do have to
Yeah.
put it down and focus on what's supposed to be relevant for this particular time. And so I appreciate you sharing that, because I think a lot of authors, they get discouraged and they just think, dang, I've been working on this for so many
Yeah.
years. And it took me 3 years to write my first book. I mean, I was going through things and I wrote my first book as fiction, but I had to live through some things
Yeah.
in order to share some things through the book in a fiction way. And sometimes that
Absolutely.
happens too. So we have to be mindful of what's going on in our own lives
Mm-hmm.
that could impact, the books that we're writing. And so
It's
if
true.
you were to, and I'm sure you do this all the time, aspiring writers want to hear from someone who has had success in the writing space, what
Mm-hmm.
would be like the top three things that you would share with them to continue to move forward to
Um,
see success?
that's and to me, it's a roller coaster. I'll be honest, like being a writer, especially like um it's a roller coaster ride. Let me tell you, like
Yeah.
you have to number one is keep your passion for it because I earlier this year I was like I was losing the passion. You know what I mean? Like in a sense of well, I wrote for free
Yeah.
for 3 years without thought. And then I started caring, I didn't care what people said. Like I wrote because it was for me, I enjoyed it. And then
Yeah.
once I became an author where I was getting money for it, then it was like, I gotta, how should I write this? Should I work? It became more of trying to
Yeah.
figure out what people would like as opposed to what came from me naturally. And and I started getting disillusioned. And I was like, remember that person who wrote for free for 3 years and had
Okay.
no plans of making money off of it. You know what I mean? It wasn't even like this is my step to make money. It was I love doing this. I found this outlet. People are liking it. I'll keep writing.
Yeah.
So number one is keep your passion no matter what. Even if you're not making the money you want or you're not, do you still actually like writing? For me, it's an outlet. For me, it is my coping. I don't
Yeah.
drink. I don't smoke. I mean, I do drink, but I don't get drunk. But
Occasionally social.
yeah, social.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not always. I say that
Yeah.
to say people have vices. And for me, my
Mhm.
vice is writing.
Yeah.
And I started feeling like I was losing that. And I
Mm.
was like, because I said, I'm not going to write anymore. I actually said, I'm not going to write anymore. Then I said, no, I will always write. Will I always publish is another story. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
that's good.
it's,
Ooh.
you know, because I have stories now that I've written that I never put out there. So
Mhm.
that is just for me. And I was like, do not. So that's my first.
Good.
Do not lose your passion. If it is your passion. Now, if you're strictly like this, is my business, what I do,
Yes.
you go for it because that's what you do. But for those of us who write because we can't help it,
Yeah.
some stories in our head that we have to get out, even if it takes us 3 years,
That's right.
it takes us 3 days. Everybody writes
Mhm.
differently. get it out. Like I commend you, Stephanie. When you said like it took me 3 years, but I finished, and
Yep.
that's the point. It isn't. I think people start comparing themselves and start feeling like I must be messing up. And it's
Mhm.
just so many writers out here, and a lot of them are talented. And
Yes,
so, if even if they're not choosing your book, doesn't mean you can't write. It doesn't mean
that's
that you
right.
don't have a good story. It just means you just hadn't got noticed, because it really is about who notices you.
Yeah.
And like you said, that one person that'll put you in a different atmosphere. Knowing certain people will help you boost you and that kind of
Yes.
thing. So
Yeah.
um, definitely make connections within the author world.
Okay.
Um, I became a USA Today bestseller because I went outside of my box.
Mm,
I became a
yeah.
part of the anthology. It was an interracial romance anthology. I don't write interracial romance, but I was
Mhm.
like, why not? And it wasn't supposed to be at first. That's how it was. It was like, it was like a request for an anthology, and it was going to be you can write. It was going to be like a mix of authors, and you could write black
Mhm.
romance or IR. And I was going to do black romance. And all of a sudden, they changed in the last minute. They're like, we decided we're going to try to see if we can be USA Today bestsellers. We're going to put all our energy into becoming that, but we're changing the whole concept. It's going to be
Wow.
IR. This is going to be mafia. I've never written violence in my stories. Okay, I
Oh,
write stories. I don't write violence. And I'm
right.
sitting like, what? What? I don't know. And then I said, what? But why not? Just do it. It's a novella. Well, it wasn't a novella. It was 40,000, at least 40,000. So it's
Okay.
kind of in between.
Yeah.
Um, and I just challenged myself and wrote this story. And and I did it from my way, which there is violence, but it's not obscene violence. Like
Right.
some of my team, my street team, they were
Mhm.
scared to read. They're like, wait, how violent is this? Because this not a you going forward with the IR, then you add in violence. I'm like, look, just read it and tell me your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Wow.
And yeah, and and our group became a USA Today bestseller, and I was just like, wow. And yeah, so I would say take risk.
Mm. Okay.
Because I literally was like, this is not me, but it led
Mm.
to that.
Yeah.
Also, no authors, and I've written a couple of, I don't know, just a couple of more interracial romances since then, just because I enjoyed the process, and I do
Right.
have my white boy crushes, so I was like, hey, I could do a interracial romance. It's all good.
That's
But a lot of
right.
people, but I know it really is a divided world. That is what I've learned as an author. So
Yes,
my
ma'am.
regular readers was mad with me. They're like, who this white boy? I'm like,
He's he's real. This is real life that we live in.
yes.
So it's okay.
But yeah, so yeah, live your passion, connect with authors,
Yeah.
take risk.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
I love that.
that would be
So
what I would say.
that that anthology, was it what was I gonna say? Was it traditionally published, or was that independently published too?
It was still indie.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
So
indie.
it's so interesting because so many times authors will say, as an independent author, like there's
Mhm.
no room and there's no opportunity to become a USA Today bestseller or a New York Times bestseller. And to hear that is inspiring because
Yes,
clearly there's a way.
yeah, there is a way, and that is a way that I know when the two women who started us doing this journey, they started looking around. They said they just started talking to people, and then there's a group of Black women who also had did an anthology the year before, who were able to come USA Today bestsellers because of an anthology. But I want y'all to understand too, like Kennedy Ryan just became traditionally published. I think people thought she already was, but she
Right.
became all these things, you know, before I Let Go is her first traditional.
Yes,
Real, and everything before was
that's
indie.
right. Was indie.
So I think people, because her name got out there, a lot of times, especially with that cover of Real, like that, it looked like you put she put her own money into it. But it's
Yeah.
like you can definitely be USA Today bestseller as an indie author. It
Yeah.
does take a lot of work, a lot of effort,
Mhm.
promotion, even when you feel like people, because we promote so much, and I was like, these people ain't looking at this. I really was starting to say, this is crazy. Like, I'm tired. People tired of seeing this, because I was thinking about, the people who follow me, and I'm posting
Right.
this stuff every day, and I'm like, I know they tired of this. But
Right.
I also realized that I might have been posting everything for the last 5 months. Somebody be like, I just saw this. I've been
Yes.
posting every single day for 5 months, and you saying you just saw this? I've had people be like, I didn't know you had this. I'm all like, seriously?
You're like, come out of the rock, because I've been doing this for 5
I'm
months.
doing this forever. And so that was a lesson for me, because I was just like not listening to them. They were like, you need to post. I'm like, people are tired of this. They don't want to see this anymore. And I was wrong. We needed to do that. So
Dang.
that when it dropped,
Mhm.
people bought it.
People bought it. That
Yes.
is
And you have to buy it. It's crazy, because the hardest to Amazon, everybody get off Amazon.
yes.
Amazon's the easiest. But
Yes.
you have to get people to buy it off of Apple, Barnes and Nobles, Kobo, all
Yeah.
these other places too. You
Yes.
can't become USA Today unless you get it off all of those sites.
On all the
You
platforms.
have to be wide. You cannot. I don't think people get that too. You cannot be. You can't get a USA Today just by publishing on Amazon. So
Yes.
you can't be in KU, and everybody wants you to be in KU, so you can't be in KU.
That's
So
right.
you might lose some money trying to do this.
Look, okay, let me say this, because I just love that you shared that. And a lot of times, as independent authors, sometimes we don't want to make the investment
Yeah,
in ourselves to
yeah,
go the extra mile, right? And we will invest in all the things that literally, in the long run, don't serve a purpose
yeah,
towards our passion.
yeah,
We'll spend the money, we'll do all that. But when it comes to investing your funds into
yeah,
yourself in a way that will lead you to something that will explode your passion,
yeah.
like, we're not willing. And just to go back to your last point about taking risks, like, that risk of you just saying, look, I'm just going to do this, it paid off for you, right? And it gave you the opportunity to now forever hold that title of being a
Ever hold
US.
that title, and you can tell, like, literally, I was like, "The hell, why not?" I mean, it wasn't even like,
Right,
it was kind of like, just do it. I really
right.
didn't believe it was gonna be USA Today, but I didn't go in like I wasn't pessimistic. I just thought I'm just gonna write this book and see,
Yes.
challenge myself in terms as a writer. I wasn't even focused on, like it has to be USA Today. I wasn't even thinking that
Right.
deep, and I'm glad that the ladies who helped me were thinking that deep. Because they really pushed us, and they really were like, look, we got to do this. And we did. And it was a good moment. It happened the same week that Unforgettable Man went #1 on the Black Romance
Mhm.
Amazon. And I was like, this is crazy. Um, and people ask me, how did Unforgettable Man become #1? Because I have not been able to replicate that since then. I think people just like the cover and what it was about. It was a secret baby. I don't know, because everybody kicked out. What did you do extra? I did nothing different from this book than I did the others. I didn't think it was going to
Oh my
do
god.
that. Somebody told me. I didn't even know it went #1. One of my readers was like, "Congrats, congrats!" I'm like, "Congrats about what?"
You're like, it did? For
It
real?
did. He's like, "Okay, all right, I'm happy," but that's how much I wasn't even thinking that it was possible. So I
Mm,
wasn't, you know, so I will say I've been blessed. I had, success, and I still, want to, see what else happens in the future. I am
yes.
inquisitive, but I definitely want, comparison is a still of joy.
Yes. Woo.
So if you want to write, and don't, because I get caught up in it. I'm like, why this happening? I'm like, I can't, because I keep reminding myself, you went 3 years for free. Keep that in your head. Like, you went
Yeah.
3 years, you didn't care if your book ranked, you didn't care if you had a review, you wrote because you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So there.
That yeah, I just gotta let that sink in, because I think that's something that every writer who is passionate about writing, you need to let that sit, you need to let that marinate, and you need to actually let it activate in you.
Yes.
Just right, you
Just
know.
right. That's the
Woo!
beauty. That is the beauty
Yes,
that we can create these characters. That is like, Stephanie, like when you read your own stuff, it's like I created that. That is my power. That is
yes,
my gift. Everybody
yes.
can't. Like everyone's like, no, everybody can't write. Let's just be
That's right.
clear. Just like I
That's
can't look, there are things I know I can't do. So it's not me saying, but writing is something I can do. And it is
yes,
a gift. And that is what I console myself with when I'm starting to be down. I'm like, but you actually like the story. Go back and read it again. See what and see what and would you change anything?
mm.
I wouldn't. So you're good.
Ooh, look, you inspired me.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you inspired me because I got like 7 unwritten books. Like, well, not unwritten, partially written.
Yes, yes.
You know, I'm like, okay, God, like because I'm a hybrid publisher and I'm a writing coach. And
Nice.
I have dedicated myself now more to my authors, and I just put my own stuff aside. But now you made me say, wait a minute now, I know I can write and I am a great storyteller. Now I need to like revive that, you know?
Yes.
And so I appreciate you sharing that because I literally was like, I'm putting writing away, but you sparked something in me. All
Good.
right, you're gonna be
Good.
my Jake. All right, Jake, spark something in
We can say, remember when
yes,
on October 28th we had this
yes.
discussion. Yes, well,
Oh,
good. No, you all, I mean, like honestly, that is, I don't know. Yeah, I have my down times, but what keeps me
yeah.
lifted is that I love to write and just leave it
Yeah.
like that.
And yeah, we'll leave it at that. One thing I will add to that and share with you is I know you became a USA Today bestselling author through the anthology that you were a part of,
Yes.
but
Yes.
there's so much grace on you, and God is going to literally take all of the joys and all of the pains and all the challenges that you have gone through in just these 5 years.
Thank you.
There it
Thank
is.
you.
5 is the number of grace.
Love
This
it.
is your
Um,
this is your grace season.
Thank
This
you.
is your grace season, and God is literally putting his hands on you, and everything your hands touch is going to turn not into just gold, but platinum. And I
Oh,
believe that for you. And I just can't wait to see it all unfold. And so I want you to share with the people, and we've been running it across the screen, but I want you to share with people how they can connect with you so that we can all stay. And those who watch live, those who watch on the replay, you got to follow Tiye and all of the things that she is doing because there's so much more that's getting ready to come out of this young lady. And I cannot wait for you all to see it. So tell us about your platform, where they can find you, and how.
yes, I am at TiyeLoveBooks.com. And then you can find me. It's pretty much Tiye Love everywhere, even though my name is now just Tiye. But Tiye, social media at IG is at Tiye28 always. My email is also Tiye28 always at gmail.com. Quickest way though is Tiye Love Books.
Excellent. TiyeLoveBooks.com.
Yes.
You can see all of her books, like everything that she has out there. You can sign up on her because you have a newsletter as well,
Yep.
right? That
You
people
find
can
my
sign up
newsletter on my
for.
website. Yes.
Yes. So
So you'll be
please,
abreast of what's coming on. I got some good stuff coming up. I'm excited. So yes.
yeah,
I,
look, subscribe, subscribe,
yes.
subscribe so that you can follow Tiye. And I always believe in following people on their own platforms as well, right?
Yes.
Because things happen, but she'll always have her Tiye Love books. And we want to make
Yes.
sure that you can stay connected through her newsletter and always know what she has going on. So I just want to say thank you, Tiye, so much for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story.
Thank
Your
you.
author journey is
Yes.
inspiring. And I am
Thank you.
so grateful to now have this opportunity to have spent with you, to be connected to you, and to see all of God's grace and favor unfold in your life going forward. So I
Thank
bless
you.
you and I thank you. And I appreciate you for being a part of Storytime with Stephanie.
Appreciate you. Bye.
Woo! All right, we will see Tiye again soon. So I just want to reiterate what she shared. If you are an aspiring or even an existing author, you got to keep your passion. You have to make connections in the author world, and you have to take risk in order to be able to see the success. And success is defined differently for everyone, but you have to define what a success look like for you. And when you're able to do those three things along with anything else that God has shared with you, you will literally see your writing career and your author journey propel to the next level. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. God bless you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Storytime with Stephanie. If you're an independent author and you'd like to be a guest on our show, email us at info@stephanieouten.com with your name, the name of your book, and why you believe you should be a part of our show. Also, if you'd like to support our show by sponsoring an ad, you too can email us at info@stephanieouten.com for more information. We'll see you next time.